another episode of Badass Clinician with myself, Natty, and my friend Cheston. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Ready for some holidays.
Dude, yeah, me too. So, real quick, I think this podcast, and it's something that we really have to talk about. So, my good friend Andy Shekels, he runs an agency for law firm, and he spends $15,000 a day on Facebook ads, which is incredible amount, but insane amount. But what's great is that he was able to actually like give me an hour of his time to just walk me through about some simple ad strategy, which I think would be extremely helpful for us to just talk about today. Cause I think people can really, use some of the knowledge that's passed on to me. So it's crazy, man.
And I just want to say too, like $15,000 sounds like a lot. And it is relative. Well, it probably isn't. I mean, it is and it isn't. $15,000, they're able to spend that because they're getting that return and then some. And so, Andy's been at this a while, so he knows how to create ads and run ads and do it effectively and get a good ROI. And so, most people hear the number $15,000 a day and they think, oh my goodness, like how can you do that? It's because they're getting a good return on their investment. Like think they're putting $15,000 in, and they're probably getting $30 or $45 or $60,000 every day in return. And that's the goal is, you want to get that ROI. And so, dialing in those ads, as you get a profitable ad, you bump that ad spend up. I mean, hell, if I could spend $1 and guaranteed I'd get back $2, I'd do it all day, every day, as long as I could.
Well, dude, so the biggest thing I've learned is that he spent $15,000 a day, but on average, his customer lifetime value is between $85,000 to like $150,000.
Oh, easily.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So for him, like, that's why we always say it's extremely important to know your customer lifetime value. So that way, how much you can actually spend on marketing and make sure you get that return on investment.
I bet it's more than that because, the space that he's in, there's some attorneys that spend $100,000 a month just on ads, just on advertising. And so I'm sure they're working with some of those clients. So I bet you their LTV on some of their clients is in the millions of dollars, when it really comes right down to it. Because you think about some of the spaces they work in, those are high value, highly competitive. And so they can do that because they know their market, and they've really dialed in their systems to be able to do that and do it, at a positive ROI.
Yeah, no. So dude, all right. First thing I've learned is, he said it's so simple. He's like, listen, the message needs to be extremely simple. Right. And he said, it is better. And he said that people are more willing to have a stranger lead them away from pain than towards pleasure. Yeah. And I'm like, that's interesting. So he was like, yeah. So, and the way he broke it down, I was like, look, if you have a spouse and she's not happy with something, and then you can tell them, like I can tell my wife, like, hey, you should do this, this, and that. She might not listen to me, but then if like a homeless person say the exact same thing I just said, she'd be like, that guy kind of know what he's talking about. Yeah. Right? Is that true with your wife too?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's like, trying to help my wife in the gym, for example. She don't want to hear what I have to say, but then some random person that just walks by and says, hey, if you do this here, if you maybe try this, which I said 10 minutes ago, she's going to be like, oh, I think I'm going to go try this because this guy said this is going to work. I mean, it's the same thing, man. It's just, I don't know what it is about human behavior and psychology, but that's just the way it works.
It's hilarious. So when he was looking at my ads copy, he was saying like, hey, this is great because most of the ads we're running is all about shockwave therapy, right? How it's great. Yep. It's the greatest, the latest. It can help people heal. It can get people feeling better, pretty much like create healing effect from within. But he said, like, you need to talk about how it can actually get people out of pain extremely fast without, pain medication or surgery, because people are going to buy into that message a lot more than you saying like what it does.
Yeah.
So we pretty much like took the ad out, turned it off, and then just rewrote the whole thing. Right. Yeah. So the simple message I went with was like, okay, what pain point are people dealing with? All right. That's Cody jumping in. When it comes to, getting rid of knee pain or back pain, right? And then how do we emphasize those pain points? So the biggest sticking point for me was talking about how long they've been dealing with it, right?
Mhm.
How severe the pains has been, and what is really stopping them from doing, right?
Yeah.
Those three simple things, right? So my call was like, the ad was like, hey, if you've been dealing with knee pain that lasts greater than 3 months, hasn't gone away, and you feel it every morning when you get up, and when you try to go up and down the stair, you're tentative, I was like, and you try medication, you try cortisone injection, it works, but then it stopped working. I was like, this is for you.
Yeah.
Right. And then I can introduce the new vehicle, which is the shockwave therapy.
Yep. Yeah. Because
so I'm like,
I think until you really have to hammer home those pain points to get people to stop and pay attention. You really have to identify the one thing that's holding them back in the discomfort, the pain that they're getting as a result of that. I mean, in this case, it really is pain. It really is discomfort. A lot of times we talk about marketing, we talk about pain and discomfort, it's more psychological. But in this case, it really is pain. And so, you can easily identify and speak to the exact pain that they're suffering from, because you've had how many, countless conversations with patients that have dealt with the same thing. And so exactly what to say because you've heard it from, the mouths of your patients and prospects in the way that you help them.
Yeah. And people are not going to look for like a long-term solution once you can get them, short-term solution. I think that's the one thing that I have to change my mind on, because I'm so used to just like, hey, let's go after the root cause. Why your pain hurts, why your knee's been bothering you. And then, but if you're trying to deliver that on an ad, it's going to take like 30 minutes and people's attention span is extremely, extremely low. Right. And again, it's no fault of anyone. It would just been conditioned. Right. I mean, it's funny because if I watch I love long form, so I consume long form content and I don't watch short form. Right. But then I'm the exception, not the rules, where most people are like, hey, I just need a quick information. I was like, oh, this caught my attention. Now let me go take the next step forward.
Well, and especially if they don't know you, like you, and trust you, they're not necessarily going to spend that time with you yet. And just to point out, just because you're focusing on the immediate fix, like the quick solution, doesn't mean you're ignoring the long-term solution at the end of the day. All we're trying to do with these ads is capture their attention, engage them, get them to take some action that allows us to then continue that conversation to build that know, like, and trust. And so, focusing on the quick wins, the temporary solution, it doesn't mean, again, that you're neglecting ultimately what is the long-term solution. You're just trying to pull them into your universe to be able to have that conversation, to then be able to explain to them, hey, we've got to take care of this first, but in taking care of this, it's step one to getting you long-term gain, not long-term solutions of this pain, which at the end of the day is ultimately what they want. They just don't know you, like you, and trust you enough to give you that time to be able to explain to them how your solution can give that to them.
Exactly. So that's add on to the second point. The second point he said was, whatever the message you have on your ads need to be the exact same message on the landing page, right? Because
it's got to be
again,
congruent. Yep.
It's again, I try to do too much on the landing page. That's me. I like to over explain everything. And then I also realize that, again, people don't consume information that way. And then they get overwhelmed. That's the key thing, is that like when people read, they're like, all right, am I leading them down the right path, or am I just confusing them?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I did the thing that I always talk that not to do, was to go full blown white coat syndrome and explain the whole pathology and all of that stuff, which is well and good to do, but people can get really
at some point.
Yeah. At some point. Yeah. In person. I think in person, people would appreciate that.
Yes.
But as they scrolling through Facebook, they're not going to appreciate that.
Yeah. It's
right.
all about
so we're like,
yeah.
So we're like, okay, let's make sure that the landing page actually match up with the ads copy and almost like identical. The only thing that we do differently on the landing page is we just add more social proof, testimonial, Google review, right? Things that people say like, oh, this thing actually helped.
Teams you work with, all those things that just build up and add credibility to the message that you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. So then third thing is that landing pages and ad copies need to be viewed in mobile format, not on a website format, because people don't consume information on a laptop anymore. Right. it's so crazy. I was thinking about like, let's say I'm watching a show, right? I barely watch it on my laptop. I literally just watch it on my phone.
Yeah, it's for
And
me. It's either the TV or my phone. Like I can't tell you
yeah,
the last time I watched anything on my lap. Even like YouTube videos when I'm trying to learn something. Like I'll go on my TV and pull YouTube up on my TV and watch it there. Just because it's bigger and I can do something else and relax while I'm doing it. But yeah, I can't tell you the last time I watched a video of any length, other than some training video on my laptop.
yeah, and what's great about the CRM that we use is that it gives us that option, right? We can see the mobile and also the desktop.
Yep.
Now, if you work with like an older CRM, that option might not be available, and you have to build like duplicated, landing pages. And for us, we're going to overemphasize on what's the viewing experience like on mobile rather than on a website.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you need to account for both, but again, priority one is definitely mobile, because especially when it comes to Facebook ads, because that's where people are spending the majority of their time. Now, I'd be interested to see the numbers in terms of if you're running any type of Google ads, a similar ad going to, similar landing page. I'd be curious to see. But again, that's just why you've got to take into account the design, the speed, the user experience for both mobile and desktop, but prioritizing mobile if you're running, any type of social media ads on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, especially, anything like that, where you're taking someone from, their phone browser over to whatever the call to action is, landing page, opt-in form, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. And then, last thing, just really capping it off. And you and I talk about this all the time, is clear call to action. Like one call to action, repeat over and over again, not different one. Don't say book a call, then schedule an appointment and then come visit up, or like visit the website, learn more here, read more reviews here. It's just one thing, one button. Hey, claim this offer.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said that, because one thing I would add to that list is having a very clear, specific offer, so that when they read that, they know exactly what it is that you're offering. You're addressing the very specific pain points that's going to give them the quick win, but the offer itself is telling them exactly what they're going to get when they opt in. So, I don't remember the details of your Shockwave ads, but I know it's, a visit for $99 or whatever it was, a $350 value, but they know very clearly what it is that they're going to get when they opt into that offer, because you don't want to leave any ambiguity. You don't want there to be any confusion in their mind as to what they're going to get when they click the button, when they submit their information. They want to know exactly what they're going to get. And, it needs to be clear, concise, short, direct, so there's no confusion. It's almost like you go to a fast food restaurant, you pull up to the drive-through and you're like, I want a number 7. And exactly what you're going to get when you order a number 7. The only follow-up question is, do you want to upsize that? Do you want a medium or large? And what drink do you want? So it needs to just be very simple, so that people don't even have to think. There's no confusion as to what they're going to get, and they can just take action, very quickly and opt into whatever it is that they're offering.
Yeah, man. It's funny because I'll loop this in too, because I was watching this thing on Hulu, is The Food That Made America, right? And they go over like different legendary food. And one of them was Heinz ketchup, right? So when Heinz was created, back then, it was like there was other ketchup, but it was not tomato-based ketchup, right? So the one thing that made Heinz stand out from other ketchup out there is that they were the first company to actually put their ketchup on a clear bottle. Because back then, there was no food regulation on shelf life. So people were either buying stuff in barrels or in like pretty much blackout container. So you don't know, and there's no return policy. So you literally just like open it up. You're like, this could be good or this could be bad. Right? So Heinz was like, wait, what if I want to show that this is fresh, is made well, and is not spoiled? He's like, okay, I'm going to put it in a clear bottle with my logo on it. And then that literally changed the whole dynamic, because now all the other imitators that literally was like copying him start buying clear bottle. Right? And again, going back to having simple, clear, precise ads and call to action, you're essentially putting your offer in a clear bottle so people can know exactly what they're signing up for.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Again, people are busy. Like, they, again, you don't have the know, like, and trust factor just yet. You're trying to get that. And to do that, you've got to be very direct, speak specifically to their biggest pain point that you can solve the quickest. You've got to be very clear in terms of what it is you're offering. You've got to be congruent with your messaging. So, ad copy to landing page to opt-in forms, everything needs to say the same, use the same language, the same terminology, and then just use your experience, making sure that it's seamless. There's as little friction in the process as possible. When I say friction, I mean steps that they have to complete, hoops they have to jump through, form fields they have to fill out, whatever the case may be. You want to make those as simple as possible, but still getting good quality leads. So a little friction in the process to increase the quality is not a bad thing, but you just want to make sure you're not putting too much in that you're going to, scare away everybody. So, factoring in all those elements, can really help, can really either make or break your ad copy, your ad spend. And so whether you're spending $15 a day or $15,000 a day, if you can wrap all those things together and make sure that you're checking all those boxes, you can be really effective with it and use it to scale your clinic as quickly, or at whatever pace it is you're ready to go.
Yeah. And lastly, he was saying you want an ad with image that directly correlate to the people that you want to speak to. And then the simpler on the ads, even on the color scheme, you want to stand out, right? So my ads used to be like a lot of blues and Facebook colors blue. So people can scroll past it really easily. So I say, if you do something that's actually eye-catching, different color format, now people are going to tend to be like, oh, wait, what is that? Right? Because it's pattern interruption.
Yeah.
And I learned this even with YouTube when it comes to thumbnails.
Yep.
Right? Because thumbnails matter the most. Is you can have the best video on YouTube, but if you don't have good thumbnail, people are never going to click on it.
Yeah. Yep. Especially if they don't know you. They're scrolling through, they see it pop up in their feed. If it doesn't stand out, it's just going to get lost in the noise.
Yeah. What's nuts too, it's funny because we talk about brand building and brand awareness all the time. But when it comes to like running like Facebook ads where you try to grab someone attention real quick, I was like, I think the brand doesn't play as big of a role as compared to like, let's say Google ads, right? Because Google, people are like actively searching for solution and they want to see credibility. You can add in credibility on your landing page, but on your ads, you don't need to, like, I just say like, I'm Dr. Natty. I'm not saying like, we've been doing this for this year. We've been doing this and that, right? We just say, hey, let me just give you attention. Here's who I am. Here's how I can help you.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, like, as long as the messaging is congruent, as long as there are certain elements that are consistent from the ad over to the landing page, once you get them over to the landing page, then that's where you can start to, make sure the branding is in check. You got your logo, you got your color schemes, et cetera, et cetera. But again, capturing that attention, is critical because people are scrolling past. And if they're, if it just doesn't stand out, doesn't look interesting, doesn't invoke curiosity, they're not going to give it any attention. And, you're going to be sitting there wondering why things aren't working for you.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a quick thing I've learned, man. I'm sure you can add on more stuff because you obviously been doing this for a long time. I think in the gym space, I think the ads has to be way more, quick and precise because there's way more gyms at advertising than compared to like physical therapy clinics.
Yeah, it definitely the market space you're playing in is going to have an impact because again, there's probably that I know of, there's not a ton of, PT clinics that are running ads. But still, you are competing against, other, I don't know, off-the-shelf solutions, pharmaceuticals, gyms that, profess to be, I don't know, not really PT, but, helping solve injuries or performance training or whatever the case may be. So, you have to kind of take those things into consideration. But at the end of the day, I think, again, if you have a good call to action, a good hook, if you have a good ad copy that addresses their primary pain point and shows how you can help solve that one problem the quickest, the fastest, with the best results. If you stand out from the crowd in terms of, the thumbnail, the ad copy itself, just the images, the videos that you use, if you're congruent, there's definitely ways that you can stand out. But now's a great time to do it because again, there's not a ton of PTs that are running Facebook ads. So if you're looking to add some quality leads, grow your patient base, I mean, I think Facebook ads is a great way to do it. You just have to
Yeah.
make sure that you're checking all those boxes in order to be able to do it effectively.
Yeah, no, 100%, man. I'm super excited because we have so many other ads idea that I'm gonna start testing out. So once we get everything up and running, I mean, it's one of those things where like, man, I can't wait to share this with people who are
Yeah.
listening to us, just because like I don't want people to just keep throwing money into the wind.
Yeah, and on that note, I want to just say this before we wrap up. The thing about ads is you're not necessarily trying to make a profit off your ads. And now, if you do, that's great. But ideally, what you're trying to do with your ads, your initial offer, is just get people in the door so that you can create a customer, a client, because then that's when you can then grow that LTV and get more out of them. So ideally, if you're spending $15 a day and or let's say you're spending $100 a day on ads and you're creating $100 of revenue from that offer, that's great. Like, you're breaking even, because if you're doing a good job, you should sell $5,000 worth of services off of that $100 of revenue that you got from those ads. So, a lot of people make the mistake of thinking, well, I'm losing money on my ads. I'm not making money on my ads, but they're not taking into consideration the back end revenue that comes when you get a patient through the door and you sell them an evaluation or you sell them a plan of care. That's really where the money comes in. So you can't just look at the ad spend and the revenue in that little vacuum. You have to go back and look at that lifetime value of that patient overall to really judge the effectiveness of your ads.
Yeah, no, 100%. So, man, that's it. That's all I got for today. So I think this is a quick, short, simple,
Short and
go
sweet.
apply it. Yep.
Tons of gold
And then
nuggets.
next week can definitely expand on it a little bit more. So, Chesson, great seeing you, man. And I'll see you
All right,
next
man.
week.
All right, bud.
All right. I think the live stream went on. So that's
Nice.
good. Let me see.
Nice.